I'm Jeff Packard from Undiscovered Classics, and today is December 8th, actually it's not 19 anymore, is it? God, I'm old. 2024, it's almost 2025. In less than 3 weeks, or about 3 weeks, it's going to be 2025. So, what I'm standing in front of is not the, of course you're probably saying, it's a Packard Request. Of course, no one's saying that, but in 1955, Packard did a car that I was intrigued with. I grew up in Chicago up to about the age 17, and my mentor at the time was Paul Terhorst. Paul had 3 daughters, and I was working at age 14, 15, 16, 17. He was a Packard guy all his life, and he always instilled a Packard enthusiasm for the cars that he had, the cars that he saved, and so forth. He always wanted me to get one, and I got one, and I've got 2 other ones that you may or may not have seen already. But this one, I was on the search for years, and I heard the rumors about it. It was up in New Jersey, but it started with another concept car. A lot of our cars that people did in fiberglass, this one's done in steel and lead, were based on some of the designs, or even setting some designs, like with the Canera that came out first in 1966, and others followed, like the Auto Bianchi by Gandini. So in this case, 1955, Packard rolls out. The 55 and 56 were the last true Packards. In 55, they came out with a concept car called the 1955 Packard Request. And basically it came to the request because enthusiastic owners of Packards wanted to bring back the emblematic Packard grill. This one's actually, I think, from what Fred Cantor told me, 1936 Packard V12 grill. So yes, this does not look just like the Request, but it is based on the Request. It may be, it's actually good. It's not a copy. Each car that we find is always different in small and large ways. So this one's different than the Request as well. But I don't think a lot of the Packard guys knew, because it took a lot of effort. This is a whole grill, and if you look at, you can see it's been nicely fabricated in. In fact, it's so heavy that there's not pneumatic or hydraulic, I think electric motors that are still in place that would actually raise the hood on both sides, a worm gear. It's like to raise it up and raise it down. Very cool. So in 1955, the builder of this car, the person who commissioned it actually, Mortimer Bloom, or Morty Bloom, was bothering Packard for, God, almost about a year, 1955. I want to buy the Packard Request. I want to buy the Packard Request. And there's a lot of precedent for that. Cars like the Kaiser show dragons and others could be bought off the floor back in the 1950s. The Chrysler, I don't think it's called Dart or such, but I know that Fred Cantor was telling me that he had owned it for years. It may not be the Dart. It's a beautiful wing-swept Chrysler, I think by Gia. And the person who bought it originally bought it off the floor by pestering or working with the people who actually owned it. So Mortimer was trying to buy the Packard Request from Packard, and no matter what attempts over the year he tried, they wouldn't do it. So instead, he did the next best thing. He went to his the dealer, Packard dealer, which he worked with up in New Jersey, bought a brand new 1956 Packard 400 two-door. This is a 2-door, right? Yep. Okay, cool. And what he did was he dropped the brand new car off right at the shop in New Jersey. We've got it documented. I think it was orange, but we have to look at the documentation. But the shop was a high-end shop, and it wasn't just a custom shop. It was also a shop for high-end bodywork and for normal cars, regular cars as well. And over the period of 6 months to a year, maybe a little bit longer, they constructed a car based on the Packard Request. And it turned out just like he wanted it. We've got original photos of it from Jacqueline Bloom, the daughter of Mortimer Bloom, or Morty Bloom, showing the car. And it was originally black, just like it is now. I think it's originally black when they started, too. We'd have to pull the paint codes. And it has factory air conditioning, and it's in sad shape right now. Of course, all of our cars are in sad shape. And all of our cars end up going shows. All of our cars end up finding the right people if the right people aren't ours. Case in point, we just brought the Canera in about just a few months ago to Pebble Beach and won a major award. Our cars do not sit out there. This is not a hoarding situation. Cars have paths to restoration and celebration.
I think it's worth mentioning, too, that this sat in a field for, what, 20 years prior to you acquiring it?
Yes. Since the 1980s, it's been outside. Fred Cantor of the Cantor brothers, the Packard parts sealer and other kinds of cars beyond Packard, was a friend of Mortimer Bloom, and he gave me the story that he got it. He bought it in 1968. We have the title from Fred, who bought it from his friend Morty Bloom. And he kept it inside until about 1985 in the garage in nice shape. But as the business expanded and as more success happened to Fred and his brother and Cantor brothers, other cars took precedent. He had a beautiful car collection, and this one just got neglected. We have another one, the same kind of thing. If you pan to the left, you'll see the DM Nasty Now, which was in great shape back in Connecticut. and that was led by the Dragon brothers outside, which people do the best. It was saved. I have no problem that people left it outside. There were other cars that were greater histories, but we focus on hand-built histories in America or small companies like the DM Nacional or the one built that was commissioned by Mortimer Bloom. And Morty Bloom's had a love of Packards, and it was a great character. We've got a lot of, later on in life, I believe he was a chef, and he was on TV or newspaper articles about him. Just a wonderful looking, charismatic person from everything that we've learned from his daughter and everything that we read about in newspapers. So I'm hoping we can take this back. Graham Kozak may be doing an article. Graham originally from Auto Week and now from RM Sotheby. Graham is hopefully going to do an article about this for the Packard Club. And there's a lot of changes on this car. For example, the Packard 400 originally, as I recall, was a 400, a nice big strip of chrome. They opened up and radiused the wheel wells, just like the 1953 Buick Riviera, just like the 1953 Buick Eldorado, just unlike the Packard Request, much lower. So this has been given a sporty look. This is a Packard 400 interior. Packard 400, all this stuff is available for us to redo. Of course, it's going to be expensive. But a couple things he added. He added the Packard Super 8 cloisonne on each side of the seat, which is kind of cool. Mike had pointed out, and others said the Packard actual leather, he stained some of this black in some way to compensate for the black, not compensate, but to play off of the colors of the car, black and white. In the steering wheel, black and white and so forth. But I think he dyed some of this a color that it wasn't originally. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Blue. Okay. But apart from this, it's just a standard 400 interior. Might be less expensive to buy a nice 400, swap out the interior. But I hate to sacrifice one car for another one. In this case, he also added 2 Packard Super 8 cloisonne to the front, and on the original pictures, we show them as well in color.
We still have the one on the other side, right?
Yeah. And there should be one on the passenger side.
Let's see. Oh, for the seat?
Yeah.
Well, you can't get in there because the door is tack welded shut, but
yeah,
it's tight to the inside of the door jamb. Just pretend it's there.
Yeah. And Mike Dolinsky from Minnesota, the 55-56 Packard expert and enthusiast, has been helping with parts and sourcing them. We've been sourcing them off and on the last couple of years. I picked up a brand new windshield out of Classic Air, or I'm sorry, Classic Windows Classic something. It's out of Minnesota as well. We have that ready to go. You build parts first. So you picked up some, and of course, all of our cars need extensive work. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. So
can we try to two-man this massively heavy hood open? I don't think it's latched, but I do remember it weighs about a million pounds. I think we can. Ready?
I don't know. Can we? Jesus, where have we got it?
Holy cow!
God, I can't hold it open.
Yeah.
I don't think I can.
Oh wow! That weighs a million pounds.
I can't hold it open.
I got it.
There's not a.
Oh.
I don't know the strength.
So there's the actuator, right?
Yeah,
this
at least one of them.
If you couldn't tell by our moaning and groaning, this hood weighs a million pounds with this modification for the front here. See if we can get some idea. I don't know, my camera work is, I can't see what I'm actually looking at, so hopefully this
The carburetor is missing. The engine, we've got a new engine for it that we can buy if we want to. It's all ready to go. Mike Dolinsky has one. But time will tell. We have no shortage of projects.
True.
Current project is the Asteroid.
If you can put this down without killing myself. Oh, God.
I probably can.
There we go. Wow, that is a hood and a half.
Trunk, I don't think is anything special.
Now it makes sense why he had a mechanically assisted opener for that. It weighs a ton.
Oh, it's already, it's sprung, but we used a wire hanger and closed it up.
Transport.
And we'll have it under tarp again soon. We took the tarp automatically during the 2 hurricanes here this fall in 2024, 13 days apart. One loosened up the tarp and the other one flew it away. So we'll get a tarp on this here pretty soon.
Gotta love these cathedral taillights too. These are really popular among customers or customizers and hot rods, right?
Yeah, from the 1950s. They're majestic, aren't they? There's a slight change from 55, 56. I think one has a hexagon and the other has a V. I think he put 55s on here. 50 doesn't have the 56 taillight, something like that.
Somebody will know.
There's some change.
Very cool.
The front has been changed. I don't know why they changed the front here. Both of the headlights that was from a 456, so I don't know why. I haven't figured that out yet, but they changed the whole shape of the front. And I guess it's different than the Packard, the true Packard Request, but you can clearly see it's based on it. There were some other changes too, as I remember. I've got them all written down. Of course, they did the lead work in here, make that look nice. And Can't remember if they did anything in the back or not. Subtle changes and big changes alike. And you can see from the back it's a 56 400. So, from talking to Fred Cantor as well as Jacqueline Bloom, once the car was done, her father took it to shows. We think the Autorama up in Hartford, Connecticut. We haven't found pictures of it. We have found pictures of the Venus, another car that we have on the other side that went to the Hartford, Connecticut Autorama. So we may be able to find them if we can find enough programs and such. We have some programs, but not everything at this point. But we were looking for a Packard, modified Packard Custom. He called it the Packard. They didn't have a name for it. I love the Packard Request name. We probably need a name. We try to name our cars. This, if we named a car traditionally, would be something called the Bloom Special or Bloom Custom, Bloom Packard Custom. We thought we're kicking around the name Renaissance, which is very similar to the Packard Request name in terms of a rebirth or request. People requested the styling be brought back. In this case, it's a renaissance of earlier design times and so forth. And yes, it's big. And yes, some people have said it looks like a Fossil Vega from the late 50s, early 60s, maybe. I don't know if they went for the early 60s. It originally had wire wheels. There was one left on it. May still be. I don't think it is because we needed to make it rolling. And it's sitting up nice and high. I think it has hydraulic suspension. Oh, torsion bar. That's fine. It's got torsion bar suspension, which is why it's low right in the back. Of course, this hasn't worked in probably since 1968 or before. So will it come back? I bet 100% it will. Will we be the people? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. The pictures we have back in the day are all color in black and white. They show the car at its height. And I'm hoping that we get the chance to do that. That would be a lot of fun, or maybe a future partner of some sort. So that's the story. Hope you enjoy.